So here we go, round 2 of my series of video game movie reviews from a time when video games were pretty damn light on story, so the movie adaptations just had to fill in a whole lot of blanks. Double Dragon. Double Dragon is the 1994 adaptation of the late 80s arcade game and subsequent home console games of the same name. Double Dragon, the game's story, is a simple one. It's about two brothers, Billy and Jimmy, who battle a bunch of gang members across 4 levels so that they can rescue a girl named Marion. In the end, whichever character you're playing wins the heart of Marion. That is not just the basic story of Double Dragon, that is the story of Double Dragon. So how about the movie? Honestly, its story isn't much deeper than that. It's different. Marion's no longer the damsel in distress, but ultimately, it's kind of the same thing. Two brothers, Billy and Jimmy Lee, have half of this Double Dragon medallion, and they have to protect it from the big bad guy, Shuko, who has the other half of the medallion. If you put both pieces of the medallion together, you get really powerful or something. It never really clears all that up. But the big bad guy wants it so that he can rule the city. The movie mostly consists of the two brothers running away from some really colorful gang members until the very end showdown with Shuko. And that's it. There's not really a lot more going on. I think the movie actually tries a little bit to have some social commentary in spots, but none of it's really that deep. So is Double Dragon worth watching? Maybe, depending on who you are and the types of movies you like. This movie has some issues. Yeah. I wouldn't really go so far as to say it was well made. It's okay made. The acting overall is, what's the word? Bad. And if it's not being bad, it's way over the top. The only character in the movie that's really enjoyable to watch would be Robert Patrick's Shuko. And that's really just because he's so absurd and out there. It seems like the actor's having a really good time just hamming it up and being as absurd as possible. His outfit and whatever makeup they have going on there really makes him look like he's trying to do a early 90s Luke Perry impersonation. Tell me I'm wrong. And some of his lines that he says with such gusto and conviction that you just can't help but smile as he chews up the scenery all around him. The effects in the movie are okay. Actually, most of them aren't that bad, really, because it does use a lot of practical effects and matte paintings. The sets, while not all necessarily interesting, are believable because, they're real, but the matte paintings and the background of the whole entire world that they're in is interesting, I'll give it that.
After a barrage of quakes hit Los Angeles, it has now become New Angeles. The year is 2007.
Whoops. Probably should have pushed that date out a little bit. So yeah, all the backgrounds and the background of the world actually look pretty cool. A lot of the practical effects they use look fine. None of them look bad. A lot of the props they have in the background are pretty interesting too. Albeit pretty weird. Like the brothers' Batmobile station wagon thing they got going on. I don't know whose idea that was, but honestly, there's actually something kind of cool about it. I can't say why. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's there. Yeah, that's a thing. Beyond that, the movie has a lot of little jokes throughout that I really wasn't expecting for a movie like this. Little things like the news anchors in the movie are Vanna White, George Hamilton, and Andy Dick. And they're not playing characters, they're actually playing themselves as news anchors. And one of the predominant news channels it shows throughout the movie is Channel 69. Yeah, Channel 69. Low-hanging fruit? The movie has lots of really weird shit going on like that throughout. Speaking of weird shit, there's the gangs, which the brothers spend the majority of the movie running from. These aren't just street gangs. Oh no, in 2007 dystopian New Angeles, they just don't have gangs. They have gangs with themes. The movie shows a world where the cops rule by day, and they have an uneasy truce with the gangs, where at a certain time at night, curfew kicks in, and the cops go home, and the gangs come out and are allowed to do pretty much whatever they want. They run the night, the cops run the day. When they're showing this happen on screen, it really seemed like this was the Purge 25 years early. But don't worry, that thought didn't stay with me long, because after seeing all the different gangs, I found, no, I'm not watching The Purge 25 years early. I'm watching The Warriors 15 years later. The gangs in this movie are really out there. Kinda like the gangs in The Warriors. They have such creative names as The Maniacs, The Mohawks, The Clowns, and The Postmen. Think about those names for a minute, and the extremely literal image that pops into your head is exactly what's in this movie. The Postmen are literally postmen dressed up that are a gang. The clowns are gang members running around with clown hands and noses and white paint and stuff on their face. The Maniacs just look like a bunch of extras from a Mad Max movie, and the Mohawks look like those same extras, but with mohawks. It is really hard to take these gangs serious in this movie. It was hard enough in The Warriors, but I don't know, something just seemed to kind of work with that movie. They don't work here. They're just really goofy. And that's kind of what the whole movie is goofy. But I'm not 100% sure it was trying to be goofy. Some parts seem like it was trying to be goofy, but other parts seem like they were trying to play it straight, but it doesn't come off too well. The movie's not very well put together either. The characters pretty much just go from scene to scene with not a whole lot tying the scenes together or giving them motivation as to why they're there. It is kind of like the game in that respect, I guess, so you could just say they were being faithful to the game, seeing as how they go from area to area and just beat the shit out of people. And while in a game that works and can be a good time, in a movie it can get old. But a lot of times this movie is pretty out there, so that unto itself at least keeps you enough entertained to keep watching it. If all that's going on screen doesn't entertain you, the explosions will. Because a lot of shit explodes in this movie. And for absolutely no reason. Shit just blows up left and right. And there are literally times something blows up and we have absolutely no idea why. The scene that is the biggest offender in this is the boat chase scene. About halfway through the movie, all of a sudden it ceases being a Double Dragon movie and becomes fucking Hydro Thunder. And while there's a few times things blow up in this scene that, okay, I get why that just happened, I understand, there are moments when shit just explodes for absolutely no reason. Just because I guess they had the budget to blow some shit up, so they did. And they're not even like little explosions. These are big ass expensive explosions in real time. And none of it makes any sense. Granted, it is a little entertaining, I won't lie, but it makes no sense. I don't really know why this movie got made. Beyond cashing in on the video game craze of the mid-90s, I can't see any reason someone thought that this would be a good idea. By the time the movie was made, Double Dragon was already starting to fade. It had some titles still coming out here and there, but the height of its popularity had already passed, and the movie's just not good. I did have a revelation about halfway through the movie that changed the way I viewed it, and did, in a way, make my viewing experience a bit better. The whole beginning of the movie just seemed really familiar to me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Yes, I'd seen the movie before, but no, it was a lot like something else I'd seen, and I just couldn't figure it out. And then it dawned on me. Power Rangers. This movie comes off like an episode of Power Rangers, minus all the big robots and stuff. But just the way that it's put together, the way that it plays out, the acting, and really everything around it is hugely similar to Power Rangers, which this movie came out just a little while after Power Rangers did, so maybe there's a connection there. I don't know. But it really does seem like an extended episode of Power Rangers. Once I got into that mindset and started viewing it as that, I was able to enjoy myself a little bit. What that ultimately means is I wasn't expecting as much out of the movie. Right or wrong, it made the viewing experience a little better. Some movies are so bad they're good, and I was kind of hoping this would be one of those. But it's just not. It doesn't quite reach that so bad it's good level of awesomeness. It does have some scenes in it that are so bad they're good, but as an overall project, no, it's not something you can sit there with your friends and laugh at throughout. You'll have long stretches where you're just sitting staring at the screen, not laughing at it that it's bad, just thinking that it's bad. So is Double Dragon worth your time and money? Not really. Maybe Netflix at best. If it shows up on there, give it a shot one night if you ain't got nothing else to do. You're not going to feel totally robbed of your time. And worst case scenario, there are some really funny meme-worthy scenes in the movie. But don't spend any money on this thing. So there it is, guys, my review of Double Dragon. Worth maybe a little bit of your time, but not your money. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, hit that subscribe button to help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. I mean, really, overall, this movie kind of sucks, but it has some really, really funny moments throughout it. Like, check out this kid. Wham! Or this guy jumping through the window. I mean, what was his plan before doing this?
Lewis, any news?
What? Okay. And whatever the hell this is. And these guys are either about to be in a car wreck or they're giving each other hand jobs. I'm not really sure.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
What?
Dude, you must suck at video games.
Next up is... I'm gonna kick Bison's ass.